Good morning, everybody. My name is Mary Beth Brooks. I am the director of the Arkansas Small Business and Technology Development Center at the University of Arkansas. We provide free consulting services to anybody looking to start a business, people who are looking to grow their business, folks who are looking to buy and sell their businesses. We provide about, over 2,000 hours usually of consulting one-on-one with our clients every year. And have a great team in Northwest Arkansas, but actually we spread all the way across the state with other ASBTDC offices. We have 10 different offices across Arkansas. Today we have our friends from the Skills Lab, and they're going to work with us on finding and hiring talent. So join us today for them, Beth and Christy, if you guys can introduce yourselves, and I'll pass it off to you.
Great, thank you. Well, my name is Beth Pittman, and I am with Skills Lab. Skills Lab is a company that instills confidence and inspires to help people succeed and flourish in their careers. And we do this through coaching, connecting, helping people see their value, educating them, leadership training, development. All of our coaches have years of experience in recruiting, onboarding, human resource, and coaching. I've been a recruiter for 20 years, and I will tell you, it is harder to recruit candidates in this economy than ever before. And with that said, we're going to jump right in. Here's the things that we're going to discuss today. Hiring pre-work, where to post jobs and find candidates, interview do's and don'ts, how to make your company attractive, and closing the deal. And my partner, Christie Martin, is on as well. I didn't know, Christy, if you wanted to say something, I forgot to include you. I apologize.
That's okay. Welcome. Beth is going to take the lead on the presentation, but I'm Christie Martin, and Beth and I started Skills Lab together. We both have very similar backgrounds and are really happy to share this knowledge with all of you as you're growing your businesses. And we know that this is a hard time to find candidates, attract them, and then retain them. So hoping that you'll get some great information out of this today.
Great. So let's jump right in. Okay, on the hiring pre-work, this is the first step that you do when you determine that you have a role open. So maybe it's a new position, maybe it's a position where someone has left. And so what we want to do is we really want to make sure that we understand what the position looks like. So you want to determine the need. What are the work needs? What will this position be doing? It's a great time to really evaluate, especially if you've had somebody in that position, to really evaluate what they did, what their expertise was, and then what you feel like were some gaps in that person's experience. If it's a new position, you definitely want to consider what shift will this be? Is it a full-time, part-time? Is it temporary? Any of those things to consider while you're doing your pre-work. You definitely want to make sure that you look at the whole picture. And then what kind of qualifications are needed for this position? All of this work that you're doing ahead of time will help you as you're moving through the process. So qualifications needed. Sometimes we'd love for someone to have a bachelor's degree or an MBA, but that's not necessarily needed for this role. Maybe certain years of experience would be better. And so if that's a preferred qualification, an MBA or a bachelor's degree, then you need to put that on preferred, because if you put required, you will exclude a large population of candidates that may be right for this position but don't hold a degree. So definitely consider that. The next step is look for resources. One of the first questions that I always ask everybody is especially if the person has left this position or has been promoted, I always ask, who is ready to step into this role? Well, who do you have sitting on the bench that's ready for this next step? And so that may open up a position where they're in that's more entry level and a little bit easier to fill. So that's always one of the first things that we look at. You also want to look at the shifts in work or people. So maybe you realized since this person left that you don't necessarily need a new position, or maybe you need 2 positions versus 1. Really look at the work and understand what the person was doing and what this role really needs. And maybe you can shift some work around, shift some people around. It's a great time to look to see if you need to do some reorganization within your department or within your company. And this provides an opportunity to really make sure you have the right people in the right spots. And then the other thing is, what's your budget for this job? And when we say look for resources, you really want to make sure that you're paying this position the right wage. Is it comparable to what a position in another company would pay? Maybe your competitor. What is the industry drawing? And so you really want to make sure that you're considering the right salary. If you keep losing people, it has a compensation. So you definitely want to consider that. So once you have all of these things done, you're ready to go into craft a job description. And you need to think of a job description as the company's resume. As a candidate fills out a resume, you are filling out a job description to entice people to consider your company. And there's several things to consider when you're writing a job description. I would definitely include the job overview, what the position is going to be doing, what you're looking for in this role, what are the responsibilities, what are the physical demands, what are the required versus preferred skills and qualifications. I would also include a little bit of information regarding your company and what are some of the benefits that you offer and the perks available. Okay, so once you get all of this completed and done, it's a great time to think about advertising. Candidates in today's market are, they have several jobs available to them. And so they're really looking and picking and choosing. And so you want to determine your talent pool and where and how they get information most readily. As you think through your candidates, you want to look at, where are they going to be? What type of position are you hiring for? If it's more blue collar, if it's more professional, you want to try to target to those areas to really get a feel for what they are. Do they take public transportation? Are they out at workforce centers? You want to make sure that you're advertising and promoting your opportunity in the places that they're going to be. Workforce centers are a great opportunity for you to put together flyers or create talking points so that you can make sure they understand what kind of positions you have open. Social media, everybody has social media today. So if you're looking at Facebook or Instagram or some of the other LinkedIn, if you're looking at those social media sites, what are you putting out there that would entice people to consider? So thinking about ads that you're running or notes that you're putting out on your LinkedIn page, it's all going to be based on your talent pool and who you're trying to target. One of the new things that we're seeing pop up, and I'm sure you've seen it kind of happening around you, is influencers are really promoting companies. And we're seeing this a lot with name, image, and likeness, where you're seeing a college student getting a opportunity to promote a restaurant. They eat at a restaurant and that restaurant is paying them to eat at their restaurant and to promote their business on social media. You can think about that the same way to promote your company and your position. So for example, if you're a landscaping company and you mow the mayor's yard, you might either pay the mayor to promote your business and say, this is a great place to work. These, they do a great job on my yard. Or you may find someone that's in the community that may be able to talk about your business and that you have positions open. So thinking about different ways to get the word out that you're looking for jobs is really thinking outside the box these days, because people are really being bombarded with lots of opportunities for positions to be open. So thinking through that. And then there's also the traditional TV, radio, and newspaper spots. So if you have the budget for that, or looking at different types of specialized positions. So for example, if you're needing a Spanish speaking associate to come to work for you, you may consider Spanish radio spot in your local community that would be able to target that candidate pool and look at that. So those are some of the places that we think. There's some other places that you need to be advertising your job. You need to be posting your job on the web. So your website is one of the best places to look. If you post something on Facebook that says, hey, we're hiring, and someone goes to your website, they want to be able to look at that job description on your website. They want to be able to dig around and look and find out more information about your company. And so you want to make sure that you are getting that information on your website. Professional associations and organizations. So maybe you go to Rotary and you talk to people there and you let them know that you have a position open, or maybe they have a career site and will allow you to post positions or blast out your position to people that attend those associations. Maybe you're looking for an accountant and you're a member of an accounting association. Same thing. Most professions have some sort of professional association or organization that you can participate in and reach out to them and discuss your position that you have open. There's other sites that probably you have looked at jobs before or posted positions on. Indeed.com. These are paid sites. A lot of times you may pay a small fee to get a job posted for a certain amount of days. Jobs.com. Even LinkedIn allows you to post positions on there if you're trying to target a more professional person. And then there's specialty sites. So if you're looking for example, an IT professional, a lot of the IT individuals will go to dice.com and look at the positions on there, because those are really focused. They're industry specific. There's definitely industry specific websites that you can post positions on. The other thing is alumni associations. You know, we're in an area there where there's several colleges and universities, and you could post on their career sites. They have career sites, or they could blast it out to their alumni association. And many people who have gone to college there will stay in touch with the career services team, either via email or review their website. And so some people that are outside of the area will want to move back. And this is a great place to post positions, to be able to get a feel for people that are outside the area to learn more about your positions. The next thing that we talk about is make sure job postings are easy to find. I will tell you that, again, there's a lot of things going on with employees today and candidates, and them, you know, our attention span is very short. So if your job position is easy to find, you want to make sure that it doesn't get buried within your website 100 job postings in, or if it's a hot listing, you want to make a way to get it on that front page. You want easy to understand requirements, benefits, and perks. I reviewed a job description just recently where it was hard to understand what they were really looking for in terms of requirements. And so when I started asking questions, the requirements were different. And but I was, as a recruiter looking at that, I'm going to ask questions, but a candidate may not. So you want them to be able to look at that very quickly. And you also want it to be easy to apply. A lot of people are looking at job positions on their phone. So, you know, if they're taking a break and filling out your application or your process on their phone, they may not have a resume to upload. So are you requiring a resume for this position? They may not ever have had a resume. So if that's the case, you may want to think through how hard it is to fill out an application, even fill it out yourself to see what they're actually going through. One of our other hot tips about finding candidates is definitely to consider staffing firms and recruiting firms. They're a great asset. They can save you time. They can look at better candidates, bringing it in faster. They can do the front end legwork for you, and they are really good about keeping candidates engaged. So when you consider the cost of your time to search and narrow down candidates and run your business versus letting them do all the work and bring you candidates, the cost to benefit may work in your favor. So don't forget about them. Where to find people. This is my favorite piece of the recruiting process. I love to try to get to know people, just to be curious about people and to, ask questions about where they work, especially when I'm out in the job market or out in the community. So let me walk you through this. 85% of jobs are filled through networking. So one of the things that I do is I'm constantly looking around. People are likely right under your nose, the places that you frequent. So if you're in construction and you're at a lumber yard, you've probably ran into the same people that work for maybe competitors or that work in some ancillary team that supports construction, or maybe that even works at the lumber yard. You don't know, but you look at those people and you determine, you kind of get to know them. You recognize candidate traits. If there's something, you're looking for excellent customer service or someone who's very familiar with how to, build things and cut wood and all that stuff, you're going to probably be running in the same circles. So I had a recruiter friend one time who would hire for food service. And every time she was at a restaurant and she encountered someone who had excellent customer service skills, she would reach out to them and say, hey, I'm a recruiter. You did a great job. You have excellent customer service skills. Here's my card. If you ever think about, looking at a new position, feel free to give me a call. Whether they were interested or not, they were super flattered. And so that recruiter would recognize traits that she knew she could hire for. So it's the exact same thing for you to think about those things as well. As you're out in your community, looking around, recognizing those candidate traits, you may be able to find candidates. Targeted audiences. This is great when you are trying to look for a specific type of skill set or look for a particular time that people need to work, or if you want someone that is, maybe has an accounting background because you're an accounting company, you may consider a competitor. You may look at other organizations. You want to look at those targeted audiences. If you're looking for a certain time frame, maybe you want them to work, 8 to 3, but that stay-at-home moms might be able to do that during that time frame. If you're looking for after hours, maybe high school students are able to work those weekends and night shifts. So thinking about who your target audiences are and really getting that out and trying to target them with your marketing and with your advertising. That's a good job to do there. Activate your network. I love this one too, because I love to share about people that are looking for jobs. And so people don't know that you have an opening unless you tell them. So if you're active on social media, taking that time to post a position, hey, if anybody knows anybody, let me know, or we're hiring for XYZ, putting that out there, using your influence and talking to people maybe you've worked with in the past, friends and family, and then also current employees. There's no better representation of your company than your employees who want to bring somebody else on. Maybe they have a brother or a cousin or a friend that they are looking for a job. They want them to come to work with your company because they love working there. And so that's a great opportunity for you to look at who's internal in your company and what type of referrals they may offer. If you have an opportunity to pay a referral bonus, I think that is also encouraging people to think through their network. So as you're out in your community, thinking about those networks in your small business, community, friends, definitely let people know that you're looking for opportunities. All right, as we find candidates, one of the next things that we like to do is go through the interviews. And I have sat in on hundreds of interviews. I don't know, maybe thousands. It's been a lot. And I will tell you that not everybody knows how to conduct an interview. Sometimes the process gets away from them. Sometimes they talk the whole entire time. One thing I always know for sure is that the candidate is always nervous. So we've created a couple of do's and don'ts that will help you kind of through that process and help you get the most information out of the candidate as possible. Okay, on the do's section, you definitely want to review candidates' resumes or application in advance. a lot of candidates will come out of an interview and say, you know, they hadn't even seen my resume. I had to give them a copy of my resume. Well, what does that say to the candidate when you have taken the time to bring them in, but you've not looked at their resume ahead of time? You don't have to memorize everything on it, but reviewing it and then making some notes about questions you want to ask during the interview will go a long way. Put the applicant at ease by being friendly and approachable. You don't need to be tough cop, bad cop. You want to go in with a smile, and you want to be friendly, and you want to be approachable. That candidate, you want to try to get the best information out of that candidate, and usually that only happens when the candidate is comfortable. You want to prepare a list of open-ended questions that help you understand the applicant's relevant experience and skills while the interviewee is talking. So if you have a group of people that are interviewing, maybe a panel, you want to make sure that you've prepared those questions ahead of time, that people know which kind of questions they're going to ask. You know, not a question like, you know, what did you enjoy studying at the university? The answer is going to be yes or no. A better question would be, what was your favorite subjects at, you know, when you were in college, and what did you like most about them? That enables people to really open up. Tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult customer. What type of projects have you worked on where you weren't able to meet a deadline, and how did you handle that? So those questions that enable people to give more of an answer than a yes or no really allows you to be able to understand their skill set and if they're going to be the right fit for your company. You want to ask the interviewee if they have any questions about your company or the role. We coach candidates all the time to make sure they're researching the company, researching the role, researching the interviewer. And so we tell them to come prepared with questions. That says to the company that they're interested. If the interviewee doesn't have any questions, you know, are they really serious about this position? And so you want to allow them to have questions and be able to ask those during the interview, and so that you can answer them. You want to speak positively about your business and the job. You want to sell them on the opportunity. I cannot tell you how many times hiring managers will be like, oh, this place is you know, really a tough place to work, or we have so much work right now, I don't know what we're going to do. And I mean, do you want to go to work for a place that works like that? I mean, if the people that are interviewing people are not talking positively about the job and the business, it really doesn't sell the candidate on the opportunity. So you want to think through who you have interviewing and what kind of brand they're representing for your company. You also want to take thorough notes. If you're interviewing more than one person, you may not remember which person said what and what that looks like. On the don't section, you don't want to spend more time talking than listening. Candidates all the time come out of an interview and say, they didn't really ask me anything. Well, how did it go? Well, they just talked the whole time. And so that's good for the candidate to hear what, you know, you've got to say about the job and the company, but it doesn't allow them to share about their experiences and their skill set. So do not spend all your time talking. Make sure that you're listening. Don't ask candidates about their age, race, national origin, gender, religion, children, marital status, or sexual orientation. That's a rule. That's a law. So don't ask that. You probably know that already, but it's very natural to get into a conversation, especially like during Halloween. I mean, we just had, and someone might say, you know, yeah, we had a great Halloween, took the kids trick-or-treating. Oh, you have kids? How old are they? Stay away from those questions. Just nod and move on to something else. So let's talk about your work experience. It's very natural for people to want to share about themselves because they're creating a relationship, but stay away from that. Do not talk about that at all. One of the other things is don't be distracted. Give your full attention to your interviewee. How many times have you taken an interview on either side of the desk, the interviewee or the interviewer, and they have checked their email or their phone, they got a text and they look down at it? It's awkward. It's awkward for everybody. So just block your calendar off, Do not get interrupted. Do not check that. It doesn't give a good impression of your business when you spend all of your time talking to them and then you're checking your email. What does that say to the candidate? And then the last one is don't rush your interview, which goes back to the other one about let the interviewee ask questions about your company. If you're rushing the interview, the candidate is not going to feel like you have time to answer their questions. So you want to make sure that you are giving them enough time to ask all the questions and get to know the candidates. Okay, how to make your company attractive. Interviews are a two-sided thing. This is a candidate market, and so that means there's more job opportunities than candidates available. And they have their pick of jobs and the desire. So this is your one chance to help candidates understand your company's vision, their purpose, the culture, and the perk of choosing you. We used to call it the sizzle. What's the sizzle of your company? Like, why would I come to work there? And so, you know, I've asked hiring managers this, and they're like, well, we work 40 hours a week. Is that a benefit? Is that a perk? So, you know, let's think about what is the benefit of allowing someone to come to work for your company. You want to craft stories and testimonies. If the person, if this position that the person is interviewing for, if that person that was in it before has been promoted up, what a great story. Let's talk about that. This person was in this position 3 years and has been promoted to the next step. That shows career path. That shows that you value the people you currently have. Now, if they didn't leave on great terms, then we talk about a different craft story, or a different story. You craft the stories and testimonies that are going to be positive and really show and highlight your culture and your vision. And you want to think about that. So maybe you have someone that's been there for a long time and they're able to talk about all the perks and the joys and why they enjoy working there. Why do you continue to work there? You know, if you know, you sharing your feedback and what's important to you would definitely be beneficial. Consider making a flyer that you can give candidates explaining your perks and benefits and working for the company. That's these marketing materials. Maybe you put it on your website. Make sure that the candidate's able to find that. Send them the link or print it out. But, you know, I've talked to companies who have lots of perks and none of it's listed, like, for example, a car allowance or a discount at local restaurants or a discount on your phone bill, phone service. Well, why aren't you bringing those up? Those could be really important to people, and that could make a difference in whether they consider moving forward with your company or not. So don't discount what your perks are and your benefits, and make sure that you're marketing those. It's not just about a base salary, it's about the total compensation package. Send in your best people. This goes back to, you don't want a tough cop in there asking the hard-hitting questions. You want to ask great questions that are going to get to the bottom of the skills and understanding experience of the candidate. But you also want to send people in there that's going to help you screen candidates, that's going to get to the bottom of, can they really do the job? That's going to ask really good questions, but then also helps them hear more positive aspects about your company. This is a great time to let them talk about the culture and the team. So don't neglect sending in your best people. And then you want to present benefits and perks that are special and unique to your company. People are like, well, we offer medical and dental. As a recruiter, every company offers those things. So what besides that, maybe you 100% pay for medical. Okay, now we're talking. That's a great benefit that you need to talk about. Or maybe you offer a gym membership. You want to talk about things that are going to set you apart from other companies. Okay.
Hey, Beth, do you mind if I ask a couple of questions?
Sure.
One of the things that's come up quite a bit lately with some of the businesses I work with has been that they've struggled getting folks to actually show up for an interview. So we've talked about the processes of how to send reminders or to try to communicate ahead of time, even to call. Do you have any tips on getting people to actually show up for the interview? And then what that, how that should look? But the next kind of question would be, once you get them to the interview, how is it best to close a deal? I mean, you very well are going to talk about that. But.
Yeah, so that is that is a typical problem that not just your clients have, but that lots of companies are having right now regarding getting people to show up. We want it to be as easy as possible. So maybe you offer an open hiring session, like every Thursday from 3 to 4, you're going to be taking candidates during that time. And so if they didn't make it this week, maybe they can come next week. Or maybe they're if they do come for the interview, maybe they're entered in a drawing to win a gift card or a free meal somewhere or something like that. The other, Christie, I want you to jump in there too if you think of something that I haven't thought of. But I think one of the things that we're dealing with is that candidates are definitely not showing up. They are not coming to interviews, and it can be so frustrating at times.
Yeah, I think that's a product of they have so many opportunities. And so sometimes we say a lot, time kills deals. And so just the process taking too long, or they turn their application in on Tuesday, but you couldn't interview them until the next Monday. They may have had 2 other interview opportunities during that time that they chose to go with, or they needed a job quickly. And so they were able to secure that before you could get around to interviewing them. So making the process move as swiftly as possible. And like Beth said, whatever you can do to cut down on steps in the process is helpful, because in this market, and especially with younger generations, they're able to move things so quickly, and they have an expectation that if things are too hard or too difficult or too many steps, we're going to go with the easier process. And so, yeah, and there actually our next slide is about closing the deal.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of get into more tips there too.
Yeah. It's a great question. You know, they do go down the road with less resistance. And so if you have an opportunity to do a Zoom call that they can do very quickly versus bringing them in for a face-to-face as the first step, then absolutely do that. I know that that's not the greatest, but if you're trying to move people through the process very quickly, that is something that we do. And so as we go through, we talk about close the deal. And Christie,
Beth, I'm sorry, I have one more question from one of the guests, one of our attendees. Our chat is evidently not working right, so she just sent me it through a question. She's saying, which is, I've heard this same issue as well. The problem is that some of these folks can just be rock stars in their interview if they can get to show up, but then once they hire them and they get them on board, they turn up to be a disaster. So any kind of tidbits or suggestions you might have on how to pull certain things out of the interview to where you can try to identify any of those problems. Now, all of us have hired incorrect people over the course of time, and sometimes that's just going to happen. But if you have any suggestions on that, they'd love to hear it.
Yeah, so it's a great question. Like you said, we have all hired people before that we wish we could have gone back, and maybe they're just not in the right position. And so what we've learned is really trying to learn from that. What's your correction of errors on that? If you, and we had this happen, like they really needed to know Excel. They said they were an expert in Excel. So we started giving an Excel test. You know, here are some basic Excel things. So are you able to test them on the front end on some of the things they say they're really good at? Checking references is key. We have gone to an environment that we have to move so quick, we didn't get these references checked. And I'm not talking about, yeah, my son is a really great employee. We want references of people that you've worked with in the past. And then you ask questions during those reference checks, really determining, okay, if I could have known that he didn't show up to work, you know, he was late every day, that I could have headed that off. Well, a simple phone call to the last couple of employers, you could have said, you know, how is his dependability? Does he show up to work on time? And so you could have maybe been able to address those things ahead of time. Hey, ABC company said that you did not show up on time. Can you walk me through why? And they can say, well, my car was broke down, but I've gotten a new car now, and you know, those types of things. So you can address those a little bit head on. So, you know, checking references, if you have a test in place, if you're finding a certain, you know, thing that keeps occurring with this individual, you can create a question. So the next time that you're interviewing, you can address that ahead of time during the interview.
I would jump in with that too. References again are key. If you can get to some even teachers, professors, someone that just kind of was beyond a family member or a friend, is really going to give you probably better information, more accurate information. And then as well, we talked about like sending your best people in to interview them, and sometimes having them go through multiple interviews. It kind of goes against the whole process thing I just talked about. But if you could maybe back these one to another, just that gives the opportunity for more people to lay eyes on the person, more questions to be asked, more things that come out from the candidate. So it's sometimes having multiple interviewers, or multiple sessions kind of gives you a better picture, and you get a little bit more than just that one interview, warm body, hey, they look good on the front side, so let's go with it type of a thing. Because I know many of us are in that boat right now of I need bodies in here to cover the shifts. And so if they look good in the 20 minutes I just sat with them, let's go for it. Taking a little bit more time to screen, doing the reference process, things like that can help you avoid the costly mistakes. And like we said, you need people to get in and cover the shifts, but it's also very costly to your business to hire someone that is going to get in there and either not show up for you or do things that cost you money on the back end. So weigh out those options.
Yeah. And I thought of something else. If you don't have a large team, but you don't have someone that maybe could also interview them, but have them give them a tour or have them escort them around, or say, hey, is there any questions I can answer for you? And allow just a kind of a more conversational topic. Sometimes people will let their guard down a little bit and you'll be able to see a little bit of their true colors. And so there's something to be said for talking to the receptionist when they came in. How did they act? And then when I gave them a tour, what did they see? What did they say? There's something to be said about that as well. Great question though. Okay. So yeah, just pop in if y'all have anything else. Close the deal. So like Christie said, keep the process moving. This is, we hear it all the time as recruiters. They'll say, well, I interviewed, but I never heard anything back. Never heard anything back. Or I talked to them, but I haven't heard from them in 2 weeks and I have this other opportunity, but I really liked their company. So what do? Do I reach back out to them? You want to keep the process going because time will kill deals. If there's, for some reason, you've had an emergency, you're under the gun on a project, you're out of town, make sure that you're communicating that to the candidate and you're communicating frequently and often. Long gaps in communication make candidates think that you aren't interested in them, and it give them clues as to how the business operates. Set expectations for when they expect to hear an answer and then stick to that, because if you're not sticking to that, then they're going to say, gosh, I don't know if I want to work there or not. I had a company that took forever to follow up. They were dragging their feet. All these issues happened. And the candidate said, you know what, this is how they treat me when they're trying to recruit me. How are they going to treat me when I go to work there? It was not a great experience. And so they ended up wanted to move forward with the candidate, and the candidate decided, I don't want to move forward with them. And that happens. Again, especially in this economy, you will have someone accept a position with you, and then before they start, they've accepted another position. That's across all industries. That's not specific to you. That's happening everywhere. And so one way to do that is definitely communicate frequently and doing what you say you're going to do and continue to follow up with them. When you make an offer, I love to do a verbal offer. I love to do it over the phone. It's my favorite thing, is telling people, hey, they loved you and here's the offer they want to give you. And then I follow that up in writing, because you want to back up what you've just said. You want them to be able to have all the information so that they can very quickly make a decision. You don't want them to accept right on the spot. You want them to take some time, review the information, ask if they have any questions, talk to their family about it, and then let you know. I love to give an offer on a Thursday or a Friday and have them follow back up with me on Monday and let me know. Sometimes you don't have that liberty. Sometimes you have to give a 24-hour window. sometimes a candidate will say, well, I've got another job I'm interviewing for, so I'd like to wait until next week. If you're fine with that, just know that that candidate's looking for a better offer. If they really loved you, they may come back and just say, I'm interviewing, but this is the job I want. I'm going to take it. And so you staying in touch with them and communicating with them frequently will keep you on the page. And there's nothing wrong with asking a question that says, hey, are you interviewing anywhere else? Are you getting close? What's it going to take for us to get you to come to work here? So really keeping that communication open and being able to have that. If the person accepts, you want to keep in touch until the start date. A lot of times it's a couple of weeks. They have to give a couple of week notice. And so in that 2 weeks, they may go get another job. So you want to stay in touch with them and make sure that you are doing, we call it, it's the next point, have a solid pre-boarding. You might want to set up a lunch with them, or send them some t-shirts with your company logo on it, or whatever your swag is. You may want to drop them a note or send them a fruit basket or something like that to let them know that you're interested and you're excited about them starting. And then when they do start, you want to make sure that you've gotten all the background check done and the drug screening check, and you've got their computer set up and their desk and all of that. There's nothing more discouraging to a new employee when they start. Nobody knew they were starting. They didn't have a computer. They don't have anything set up. So you want to make sure that you're doing all that during the time. I started a job one time, my very first job, and my hiring manager, my boss, would send me a note. Got your computer today? Sent me a picture of it. Got your desk? Got you a great new chair? Like every other day I got a note from him. I'm like, this dude is really excited that I'm coming to work for him. And, as someone who had was excited about starting a professional career, it was exciting to me. And so it created a relationship before that happened. So don't neglect that. All right. What other questions can we help you with?
Hey, I'm gonna unmute everybody, so in case anybody has any questions, they could just ask those.
Yeah.
Or it looks like you can just ask, or you can just unmute yourself and ask. Feel free to volunteer a question.
Yeah. If you don't feel comfortable asking a question, feel free to put it in the chat, or you can reach out to us, directly if you want, and we can try to help you with those questions as well.
Well, the chat's not performing as it should, but if you'll put it in the Q&A, I will then ask it out loud. So, Shanna just says it's very helpful information, and thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Shanna.
I'll say we also, Beth and I have put together some great kind of one-pagers that one of them is completely on interview do's and don'ts. There's also another one on good interview questions. And so your consultant with ASBTDC has copies of those and can get those to you if you want to work with them. And just, it's some great tips that'll take some of this information further and give you some of that, stuff to have right in front of you during an interview process.
So as a reminder for ASBTDC clients, you can reach out to your office. We, again, are the University of Arkansas office, and we have offices in Fayetteville and in Bentonville. Our office number is 479-575-5148. Our email address, like you can even just reach me. I, again, am Mary Beth Brooks. You can reach me at M as in Mary, E as in Elizabeth Brooks, M-E Brooks @uark.edu. You can also email our office at sbdc@uark.edu. So however you want to reach out to us or reach out to your consultants wherever you are, and we can all either connect you with Beth and Christie, or hopefully also be able to answer any questions or be able to get you their great worksheets that they completed for us. Thank you. Thanks to everybody so much for attending today. We really appreciate you joining us, and Beth and Christie, thanks immensely, because there are so many HR questions going out there. Thanks a bunch. Y'all have a great day.